Hello everyone, Queen Jax is here, and today I want to talk about Scarlet and Violet's flaws. Now don't get me wrong, these games have been crazy fun for me and my friends. I'm really enjoying playing Violet, and in my honest opinion, this is one of the best Pokemon games I've ever played. It's easily on my top 3. However, I can't deny that the game has a good number of flaws, therefore me making this video because I really want to talk about them. And spoilers alert, I am going to talk about things that might step into spoiler territory, so if you haven't played the games, consider yourself warned. Now, before diving in, please consider subscribing to my channel and catch me a good thumbs up while you're at it. Alright, first let's state the obvious, the game is clearly unfinished. I have never played a Pokemon game with so many bugs and visual glitches, and it doesn't perform well as well. Like, at all. From the beginning of the game, you see NPCs moving at 3 frames per second, experienced frame drops in the overworld, and most likely been through clunky menus. Obviously, it's a little shameful that one of the most successful companies released a AAA game in this state. And there are games that are far heavier and more demanding than this run far better on the Switch. To give you a little example of the glitches that are in the game, allow me to run through some of them that I encountered through my playthrough. Having my camera clip through the world and see underneath the map. When leaving a shop or a restaurant, my camera is always behind the doors. Pokemon spawning inside the walls. Facial expressions not working when eating a sandwich. Have characters T-posing and respawning over and over in the air. Have certain wild Pokemon spawn when they're not supposed to spawn. Because apparently Paradox Pokemon are only supposed to spawn after you're done with the main story, but I managed to bump into a few of them before I actually met them in the story. And the worst glitch that I ran into was my music broke. So when I reached the Elite Four, I was excited to listen to their theme. Rika pulls out their Pokemon and I hear the intro of the song. And I'm like, okay, so far so good. It sounds nice. But then it just continues. The same 10 seconds of music playing on a loop. Where's the drop? Is this everything? I hate it here. So I fight the Elite Four when an alarm clock playing non-stop, and I was so disappointed. I complained about it to a friend of mine who has also experienced the same thing, so we just assumed that the music was just trash, like someone forgot to finish the song. Until I have talked to another friend of mine who claimed that they really liked it, and I'm like, excuse me? How come that one friend liked the song? It sounded terrible. So I looked up the song and apparently the game had glitched and only played the first 10 seconds of the song. And it never broke out of the intro loop, and the Elite Four actually slaps. Personally, I find most of these glitches hilarious to me and my friends. The game might be a little broken, but at least it's a fun little mess. Like I stated in my previous video, I am not the biggest fan of open world games. I only enjoy them if they are well done and engaging enough. In case of Scarlet and Violet, it's a passing grade. The world felt engaging enough all the way through, and I always got distracted catching all the items, TMs, shiny little things on the ground, and there was always new Pokemon to catch in every corner. I tend to get bored exploring open world games after a while, but that never really happened in Scarlet and Violet, so I'm pleased. However, this video is all about the flaws. While the map was fun to explore, the balancing of this game was not. I don't even know where to start. I guess I'll address the level issue first. So even though the game is open world, you can literally go anywhere in the map from the get-go, the world doesn't scale to you at all. So in other words, you can very easily wander off to higher level places and be under level, or you have to go to lower level places and be over leveled. One way that they could have fixed this would be, depending on the amount of badges you have, the lower level places would be higher. To avoid fighting level 20 Pokemon when all of your party is like in their 50s. So I can understand that this could be a little difficult to balance literally everything. The level issue also drags the different story paths down in a way. Allow me to elaborate. So in this game you have 3 different storylines: Paths of Legends, Operation Starfall, and Victory Road. Each path grants you different kinds of rewards. The Path of Legends unlocks new abilities for your mount, like swimming and gliding, allowing you to navigate easier through the region. Operation Starfall unlocks TMs and gives you lots of materials to craft them. And Victory Road unlocks Pokemon obeying you. That's right, the only badges that allow your Pokemon to obey you after a certain level are gym badges. So you can easily have your Pokemon to disobey you if you don't prioritize Victory Road. This makes the other 2 paths feel a lot more optional because the game is one way forcing you to do the gyms. One of the first things I've noticed in the game was how small the Pokemon are. I kept bumping into Pokemon that were so tiny it was impossible to spot them, and they often blend in too well with the world. Now, this isn't a terrible thing, it's just more something that keeps annoying me from time to time. Their proportions are definitely sized down by a lot. I imagine that they have done this to compensate the lack of random encounters and to make it a little bit more challenging, I guess. But the amount of effort I have to put into just spot some Pokemon is a little bit too much. Especially considering that you might run into a shiny or something. Oh, and speaking of shinies, I bumped into a couple of them already. And I wish that the shiny Pokemon were annoyingly obnoxiously in the world. You know how in Pokemon Arceus, every time you run into a shiny, you hear the little jingle that is telling you, oh, there's a shiny nearby? And also, if you see them, there's like little stars around them. But in Scarlet and Violet, there is nothing. There's no jingle, there's no sparkles, they're just there for you to spot them. So, certain Pokemon, like let's say Pikachu or the famous Garchomp, where their shiny almost looks the same, you might not even realize that they are shiny and you might just completely ignore them. Another thing that I absolutely hate in this game is when you finish combat, there's a high chance that a Pokemon will spawn or run at you the millisecond you leave combat. It's literally impossible to react in time and dodge these encounters, and sometimes they shame. As for the Pokemon introduced in this generation, I must say that I really like most of them. I love their designs and concepts, and I don't really have a Pokemon that I feel strongly against. I do plan on going over every one of the new Pokemon on another video. However, I will say that the most disappointing thing about this batch of Pokemon is how many 2-stage evolution Pokemon there are. A lot of these Pokemon feel a little underwhelming, and they could have really used a third evolution to really flesh them out. Maybe in Gen 12 we get to see their third evolution. Man, the post-game sucks. I mean, what they give you is pretty solid, but it ends pretty quickly. After you complete the main storyline, you get to rebattle the gym leaders at their full power, kinda compensating the fact that you destroyed half of them by simply being overleveled. These rematches weren't too difficult, but they were nothing to sneeze at. And it was pretty cool to see the gym leaders once again and interact with them more. The gym leaders really reminded me of the Unova games because of how much you get to see them and you actually get to know them a little bit. They're more than just a random boss you have to defeat and progress. They are a part of the world that you're in. And after you defeat all the gyms, you unlock something called the Ace Academy Tournament. It's a small tournament where you fight 4 random characters, ranging from a student, gym leader, champions, and even your teachers. I think this is pretty cool, but at the same time a little underwhelming. You don't gain much from doing these from what I heard. You also get to rebattle the Team Star leaders once every day at your camp, giving you something daily to do if you want. Other than that, all you have left to do is finishing the Pokédex and do raids. Raids are pretty fun and they do give you a good range of rewards. Doing them are definitely worth it, but it's literally the only thing you can do post-game. And, well, battling online too, I guess. But we don't even have a battle tower or anything similar in this game. I personally love to challenge myself into making new teams and try to go as far as possible with them. Sword and Shield's battle tower was a little unimpressive since they were just 10 battles in a row, but in Scarlet and Violet you don't even get any battle facility like that. I'm really hoping that one day we'll get like a huge update where they unlock the missing part of the map and it's just a huge battle frontier area. Oh, a man can only dream. Oh, and by the way, why can't we have more clothing options? I mean, I appreciate all the customization things that we got, but we can't even use 90% of them because they simply do not match with the style and the colors of our uniform. We can only change between 4 different styles, but you can't even change like the jacket or anything. It's even worse than what I anticipated. There are so many items that I want to use, but I really can't because they just look awful with what we have to wear. Thank you so much for watching. Comment down below what you think is the biggest flaw in Scarlet and Violet, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. Ta-ta for now!